Hello, this is McD the Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today with the college football carousel. Some coaches are going to be getting fired and replaced. These are 16 universities that that either the coaches got fired. Two of the teams on here they already got replaced their head coaches. I didn't pick Kansas on here, but Kansas did hire Les Miles as their head coach. And this is as of Monday afternoon, by the way. And I think East Carolina is going to move on from Scotty Montgomery. So these are the coaches that these are the teams that let their head coach go or have a situation like Maryland. My Maryland Terps, they have a chance to possibly get a new guy in there or keep Matt Canada. I'm fine with either one as a Maryland fan. But anyways, let's jump into it. First team I'm going to talk about is North Carolina actually, and they fired their head coach Larry Fedora after a 2-9 year. We were at 2-10 year. We're giving them that loss against Central Florida. It's not completely his fault per se because North Carolina is a basketball school and he's recruiting against at least three other ACC schools in that state in North Carolina. He also has Appalachian State, East Carolina to recruit against as well. But he's really had a tough time finding talent. But they decided, but North Carolina, anyways. I agree with Mike Fedora. With Larry Fedora getting fired, and they replaced him with Mac Brown, former Texas and North Carolina head coach. He's probably UNC. He was probably UNC's third best head coach ever in my opinion. He's gonna be coming back out of retirement, and I think personally, I give it a decent grade. I give the hire a B for North Carolina. Um, I think that the problem with North Carolina is that you're in the same state as Duke, Wake Forest, and NC State. A, B, you're in a basketball state. You're not gonna get good football talent in North Carolina. You're gonna have to pry players away from playing for Dabo Swinney if you want to be good for North Carolina. They've done it before a few years ago when Larry Fedora actually took over. They were a 10-2 team in the ACC championship game, so they could do it in North Carolina. But I think they're probably at least 4 to 5 years out from being anything. And when I mean anything, at least an 8-4 team. Anyways, next Texas Tech, they move on from Cliff Kingsbury. He lost 5 straight games to end the year, and they let him go. I think it's the right move for Texas Tech to move on from him and get a new guy. Mike Leach, people are saying him from Washington State should come back. Personally, I wouldn't do that if I'm Texas Tech. And also, Mike Leach said he feels comfortable where he's at now. Personally, people are saying Memphis head coach Mike Novels, North Texas head coach as well. Could be top candidates. I can see North Texas head coach taking this. If I'm Mike Norvell's though at Memphis, I will not take any of these jobs. By the way, none of these jobs are really that attractive. Texas Tech is probably the best job out there right now, anyways. So you got that if you're Texas Tech, but people are also saying the guy out of Troy, I forget his name, the head coach out of Troy, the young guy. If I'm him though, the only job I would even consider out of this though is Texas Tech. So you got that, and then so maybe Texas Tech. I think they're just gonna hire the guy out of North Texas, probably the head coach from North Texas. They haven't done it yet, but that's what Texas Tech's gonna do. They're gonna hire in-state product, the guy out of North Texas and Denton, Texas. Next, Western Kentucky, they fired the head coach after a horrible year, but they already actually hired a new head coach. They hired the offensive coordinator out of Tennessee, Western Kentucky. They hired the offensive coordinator out of Tennessee. Okay, hire. I'll give it a C. Tennessee's offense really didn't wow me though this year, which is something that is interesting. So I don't know what Western Kentucky's going for. They're clearly going to be put back at least 3 or 4 years probably. Not because of the coaching hire, just in general after season. So he's gonna have to rebuild that program in Western Kentucky. So we'll see what happens, but it's an okay hire. Texas State, they fired a head coach after 2012. He only has 7 wins in 3 years. Actually, they joined the FBS in 2012. Um, he only 7 wins in 3 years for Everett Whitners. He was on my hot seat at the beginning of the year. He got fired. And Texas State, they're a losing program in the Sun Belt. They really have a losing identity there with Texas State. They're nowhere close to being with any of the Texas schools, even like the North Texas and like some of the Group of Five schools like SMU. They're not close to them at all. Texas State. Personally, Texas State, they're probably just gonna have to look at maybe a head coach in FCS or a coordinator, somebody in the Sun Belt or MAC at this point for Texas State, because no one's gonna want to coach that. No big time name's gonna want to coach that. Central Michigan, they fired their head coach after a really disappointing year. They fired their head coach. They fired John Bonamigo. John Bonamigo. They fired the head coach. Him. Central Michigan, they're just gonna have to look for assistant in the MAC at this point for their coaching position. I don't see any even like a Power 5 assistant. I don't see a Power 5 assistant really taking over Central Michigan. Central Michigan's really a losing culture all around. So same thing, sort of like Texas State. They're really gonna have to look for an assistant in the MAC. Let's see. Colorado, they fired their head coach. They fired Mike McClinstray after a few years, 6 years actually. He was on my hot seat, Mike McContray, and he ended up getting fired. The Colorado was ranked at some point this year. They were ranked like number 21, I believe. They had a few decent wins, but not enough to save his job. Colorado, they could lure somebody in from a Group of Five head coaching spot, like maybe the guy from Troy, maybe North Texas head coach. Maybe they'll lure them in. Maybe lure a guy from one of these other like good Group of Five schools, like maybe a Mountain West, like maybe the guy from Utah State. Maybe they try to lure him in to be the coach for Colorado. Personally, I think Colorado is just going to end up hiring an assistant from the Pac-12 or maybe one of the other Power 5 conferences. Because to me, none of these jobs are really that attractive. Like Texas Tech is the best job. Texas Tech is a notorious 7-5 program. So personally, I just don't see like any like. Unless someone really wants a Power 5 head coaching job, I really don't see anybody taking it. That's why I think the coach for Troy, I don't think he's going to leave Troy. I think he's going to wait another year. I think the Memphis coach, Mike Norvell, head coach, I think it's best for him just to stay at Memphis for another year because none of these jobs are really attractive. Like, if you have like a Michigan out here on this chart, or even if you have like I don't know a decent school like Iowa on the chart, that's attractive. But Texas Tech's not that attractive because if you're Texas Tech, Colorado, Maryland, Louisville, those jobs are just not attractive. East Carolina's not attractive right now. But Charlotte's kind of attractive. The Charlotte 49ers. But let's actually speak about the Charlotte 49ers. They fired Brad Lambert after a few years. But they should be interest for the Charlotte 49ers job. They were a little bit better than I thought they were going to be this year. So there should be some interest for that job. They're probably just going to end up hiring either a Power 5 or Group of 5 assistant. But if they want to be bold, they could try to lure the guy out of JMU, their head coach. They could try to lure him down to Charlotte. But I think he's going to stay with JMU. A team near JMU, University of Maryland, they have an interim tag on Matt Canada. I think they're just going to retain Matt Canada per se because I thought he did a good job this year in the situation. So I think they're just going to retain him. But they might look outside and try to lure someone in. Maybe there's rumors that Dana Holmgren in West Virginia might be leaving West Virginia. He might be interested in the Texas Tech job actually, but or basically like someone else, maybe like a Dabo, maybe like a Dilbo up in Syracuse. He might be interested in a little bit of a bigger school, but Maryland, I think that we should just keep Matt Canada. That's just my opinion. Louisville, I don't know who the hell Louisville is gonna hire. Hire Bobby Petrino. I think Bobby Petrino is not gonna be getting a head coaching job anytime soon. I don't know who the hell they will hire. Maybe, I mean, I really don't know who Louisville will hire for their head coaching job. They might just have to hire within the program because that job is not attractive at all. Louisville. I mean, that team's a mess. I mean, Kentucky's out recruiting you. You have Ohio, Indiana. Those schools, at least Ohio State, is out recruiting you. Purdue's out recruiting you if you're Louisville. And it's probably Indiana's out recruiting you as well. You go south, the Tennessee schools, both SEC schools are out recruiting you. Memphis is out recruiting you. West Virginia's out recruiting you. Virginia Tech and Virginia's out recruiting Louisville right now. I mean, I'm telling you, Missouri's out recruiting Louisville. And Northwestern's out recruiting Louisville. And probably Illinois is too. But I'm telling you, if you're Louisville, you guys might just want to hire like a group of 5 assistant because that's what is probably going to be hired by Louisville because that job Louisville looks like a freaking Sunbelt team. UMass, they fired their head coach after a few years. 5 years of nothing better than 4-8. Mark Whipple. UMass is not that attractive of a job as a independent school. A school that should really probably be in the conference. But we'll see what happens. UMass, the only thing about them is that they're going to probably have to hire somebody from the MAC or from the Sun Belt. Maybe the Conference USA, if they could get an assistant from the Conference USA to come in, maybe they could lure that or pull that off. But that's just about it if you're UMass. Bowling Green, they fired their head coach after a few years. Mike Jinks, Bowling Green, they could maybe lure an assistant from the Sun Belt Conference USA. I mean, Bowling Green is a little bit attractive, but not really. Maybe like a Sky Montgomery if he's like, I would just take the Bowling Green job. I could see him doing that, but we'll see what happens. And then East Carolina, they haven't made that announcement yet, but from everything I've been reading, Sky Montgomery will be out after this year as head coach. And East Carolina should really look at trying to get someone from the Sun Belt or the MAC as like a head coach in one of those 2 conferences. They could maybe pull off a group of 5 assistants, maybe someone in the American, or maybe even someone in the ACC. I know the Clemson offensive coordinator. I know he's looking forward to be a head coach. Maybe they get him to be the head coach. But East Carolina, they're years away from being contenders again in the American. So that's just my opinion. That's the coaching carousel right now. Thanks for watching the video. Please like and subscribe. And this is McD the Beast signing off.